I like that. All right, man. Look, let's get into it. You said this is a boomer or bust year. You talked about who's coming back, who you lost, and what to expect in the coming years. But this is it. This is the year, and I'm gonna bring up the schedule. I'm looking on here, and with the exception of what we've talked about, those the last four games. I mean, I'm feeling very confident for you guys. Let's
Yeah,
start off. At home, noon,
for the first
September
month.
2nd, East Carolina. That how bad? Well, I want to say how bad you're going to beat them, but at the same time, we've seen East Carolina, man. They almost shocked NC State at the beginning of last year. Now, NC State is not Michigan, but are you at least a little worried about this one, or is it going to be the second half? The backups come in.
I think it'll be fourth quarter the backups come in. This
Mm-hmm.
might be one of those ones where East Carolina kind of punches us in the mouth early, where we might overlook this game. But I also think with no Holton Ahlers and no Keaton Mitchell, I think
Yes.
this will be one where they'll kind of hang around early. And I mean, you look at the run style of Michigan, anyways. Typically, you don't start blowing teams out until the second half because you're
Mm-hmm.
wearing them down, and then that's where you hit those big plays later on.
Right.
So I think East Carolina keeps it closer than they realistically should for about 2.5 quarters, and then it kind of starts to roll our way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know what the spread is, but I would say Michigan probably wins by 2 scores, maybe three.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Especially with like what you were saying, Ehlers and Keaton Mitchell being gone. We haven't delved deep into Eastern Carolina, but I know they're not bringing that caliber back at least this coming
Mm-hmm.
year. Moving on, the week after, play our buddy, the lost NLV. Was it running Rebels?
Yeah.
Is that what they are? Yeah,
Yeah.
in Ann Arbor. Another victory in my book. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is one where the backups are starting probably the third quarter.
Yep.
Like coming at the half, JJ's gone, Corum's out, Edwards is out. All your star players are out. I This is one where some of them, and I hate saying this about these kind of matchups, but this is a game where some of them I might not even play them personally.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I also hate that aspect. So get them in, get them some reps early, and then get them out.
Right. Right. Let them build the lead up, and then take
Yeah.
them out because you still want them having the reps and still having their the juices flowing, the blood flowing, and all that. Because I remember, and not to break off this real quick, but I remember going with shout out to Katie Albertson, going with her and Kat to the Michigan UConn game last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not gonna lie, by the second quarter, the fans were preoccupied with everything else because it
Yep.
was a blowout, and that has to be hard. And I think Blake Corum had what 5 TDs in that game.
I
Didn't
think
he have
so. Yeah.
yeah, he had a monster game in that one, but it was hard to kind of focus on the game because you knew
Yeah.
UConn at their best wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of that, I think you're going to get a lot of that in the next game. Bowling Green.
Yeah.
I don't see any hope for these guys. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. No, this one, like UNLV, will be over by halftime.
Yep.
That's two ugly ones in a row.
Yep. And to finish off the 4-game opening season home stretch, on my birthday weekend, you play Rutgers. While they have struggled over the years, Rutgers has always kind of played you guys tough at times.
Yep.
What do you think?
Yeah, Shiano's had them play well against us the last few years because there was the last couple of years they've kind of been close. I know the COVID year they were actually up on us at the half before we benched now starting Tennessee quarterback Joe Milton for now starting Iowa quarterback Cade McNamara.
You right?
And he brought us back and we had to win it in overtime
Yeah.
because they were up big on us at the half.
Yeah.
But then other than that, it was a lot of like 78-10, those kind of like beat downs. And then Rutgers has hung around for quite a while in those games. I mean, we've still won comfortably the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But they've given us a run for our money the last couple of years. So this is one where you can't overlook them. As much as we are the much better team, this one is the definition of a trap game for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's very early. You're coming off 3 home games against what we can all agree is inferior opponents. It's the first Big Ten game of the season. So, yeah, this is definitely a trap game. And if this one was not a trap game, the next one absolutely is. New coach, new players. You got a team that is ready to kind of change the image about themselves. They wiped off all the Scott Frost from them, and now they're trying to move into the new day. I mean, I see you guys pulling this victory out, but I'm kind of high on Nebraska. So, and it's the first away game. So what are your thoughts?
Nebraska's a team where I think they're going to, we've seen Matt Rule and how he likes to coach football and how he likes his teams to play. We saw it at Baylor. We saw it in Carolina, and we're absolutely going to see it here. Mm-hmm. His style matches up well with Michigan because he likes to play physical. Yep. I think he's a year away from having the guys to play that matchup against teams of this tier. I think he'll beat up on teams like Minnesota and them. May not win all those games, but they will beat those guys physically. I think this is one where it's going to be closer than people think. I'd probably still say Michigan by 10, 14 points, somewhere in there. I don't think we walk away with it, but I think we win comfortably.
Yeah, I think the youth of Nebraska will show, and it being the first real major matchup for them in the Big Ten playing you guys, I think you guys will overwhelm them later in the game.
Yeah.
Moving on, you then is that let me see if that's home. That's at Minnesota. So second straight away game. You go to Minnesota. We know what PJ Fleck has those guys doing. Row the boat. I still see you guys getting the W. I see it being similar as the Nebraska, as it's going to be a running game, black and blue. You guys are running down the field 12, 13 plays. They're trying to run back. And it's going to be about which defense shows up, and that's where I think I definitely give the edge to you guys. So I got you guys getting a dub. What you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and it's going to be interesting to see the run game this year because Mohamed Ibrahim's gone.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see who kind of takes over that bell cow role for them, or if it's going to be a running back by committee. This is one where like you said, it's going to be physical, heavy run. I think we kind of, just like Nebraska, I think we pull it away by 2 touchdowns late. Mm-hmm. It'll be very similar to the end of the Ohio State game, in my opinion, where you'll just see a couple runs break for long touchdowns near the end of the game.
Yeah. And then you come back home October 14th, Saturday, playing Indiana. Jack Tuttle's is a former team. I personally, I think Tuttle gets in a little bit in this game, and you guys kind of run away with it.
Yeah, I think Tuttle and Barner both are going to get a fair chunk of play time against their old team in this game. This is one where Indiana's not the team they were a couple of years ago.
Right.
This is a team that's struggling now. Tom Allen's trying to build it back up, but they're not there. This is one where I think it'll get ugly before the in-state rivalry game.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of the in-state rivalry, go green! No, see, the Michigan internet is knocking it out. There it goes. I can't even see it. This is a true Michigan show. They won't even let me show the Michigan State. So, realistically, I will say this. We went to, I think, the game where Michigan State was, the year they were like 3-8, where they upset you guys.
Yep.
Even with that, I just don't know. I mean, not saying Peyton Thornton was anything good, but the fact that they did lose him, somebody that has been playing for them for years, I think they're really dealing with the fact in Michigan State that, they paid Mel Tucker and what seems to be way too early. I love that he's there, and I hope he can bring it back. But from right now, it just looks like it's just been it was Kenneth Walker, and that was it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's frustrating, and I definitely think Michigan's going to blow them out, but I hope. Oh, she's not here. Yeah, you guys are going to kill them. It's not even a question.
yeah, and Peyton Thorne was, let's be real, he was awful.
Yeah.
But he still brought that experience factor.
True. Yep.
So I think they'll miss him for that. You won't miss him on the field. You'll miss him for that calm demeanor, that experience. But I like what Michigan State's trying to do to build it back. But again, like Indiana, they're not there yet.
Right.
So a year or two, I think they'll be just fine. They got to find that quarterback again. But after a couple of years, and I think they'll be back. But this is not the year.
This is not the year, and it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I'm pretty much saying this thing is a blow, even though it's in East Lansing. But I think you guys got this. So undefeated up to this point. And then, if I'm not mistaken, this is when you have your bye week?
Yeah, so bye weeks after MSU right into the Purdue game. Okay. So week off in between those two.
So you get rested up, you fix up, patch up any injuries, heal any, any ailments.
Brutal patch.
Woo!
It's a rough stretch.
Right. If you want to be deemed the champ, you got to go up against all the tough ones. Starting November 4th against Purdue at home in Ann Arbor. Hey, we know what they lost. They lost Aiden O'Connell. They lost numbers. They've had people come in. We know
Hudson Card.
Oh, that's right. Hudson Card did come. Drew Brees
was kind of talking to them.
But not. You said Drew Brees is not there anymore, right? He's not.
So I don't know if he's coming back, but I know he was just there because they had fired the coach and bringing in a new guy. He was just kind of helping everything transition. I don't know if they're keeping him on or not. I haven't looked into that.
Yeah. So I'll definitely check that out. But yes, Hudson Card going there. Look, Purdue a couple years back put the work on Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
By like 20 or 30. And it was just this groundbreaking, oh my God, this upset. What happened? So there is a possibility. Hudson Card, he almost came in and beat Alabama last year when they were playing with Texas. So,
yep.
What are your thoughts? I see close game.
I see it very similar to when we played them in the Big Ten Championship last year. And kind of what we've been saying for a lot of these conference games this year, where it's close for a long time, and then we kind of pull it away by 10 at the end.
Yep.
I don't think there's many games in conference this year where we blow teams out, because there's a lot of really good teams in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah.
But I think we're still the best of the best in the Big Ten this year.
Yep. And then you go the following week. And I will say this. I'm going to say it to you. I hope you don't get mad. This is where I see the one and only L for you guys. Going to Penn State, going to the whiteout. It's a noon game, so it won't be, you won't have to be under the lights.
The big noon kickoff for Fox.
Yeah. So, hey, and most likely at this point, if you haven't already, you guys will be, on game day. They will have the celebrity picker, everything like that. I'm saying Penn State shocks you, but it refocuses you and takes you on down the line.
See, and I was looking at if I have a loss this year, it's that one. And I don't think it's that much of a shock, because, you look at, we did the rankings, the AP rankings a couple of weeks ago. Yes, we're number 2, but Penn State's number 8.
Yeah.
This is the team that finished as a top 10 football team last year. And for a half of football, they gave us everything they had, and they were beating us for most of the first half last year. Yeah. This is a very good football team that, even though Sean Clifford's out, I think they almost improved at quarterback by getting Drew Aller in there. He's just more dynamic.
Yeah.
You had arguably the two top running backs from last year's recruiting class. that are coming into their sophomore seasons now that are very dynamic. Olu Fashanu is one of the top tackles in football. I agree with you. I think this is the one loss.
Yeah. It's going to be. I just think it's going to refocus you. It's going to get you guys back to that, and it's also going to allow for something else that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah,
but
that's why I had the loss here.
right. But so moving down, in a game that last year was another one that went to the wire between you and his team. You going?
It was our closest game of the year.
Right, you're going to College Park, Maryland, to play the Terrapins. And the second to last game of the year, coming off the L, I think you guys are able to pull it out, and I think you guys pull it out by about 14. And it's nothing taken away from Talia or Maryland. I just think the amount of guys that they lost, Deontay Banks, Dante Demas, Rakeem Jarrett. Yeah. The pieces that they lost, I think is just gonna be too big of a detriment to them. Hemby's still back at running back, and I love Talia, but it's you guys. I think are just going to be hungry.
Yeah.
Right, you guys are going to be hungry coming off the loss. So
that's exactly it. I think losing a close game to Penn State. I think this is going to be the game where it's like, okay, we've got to pull it together. We lose another one, we're out.
Right.
You're not making the playoff this year as a 2-loss team. So I actually think it'll be kind of like the Penn State game last year. I think it'll be close for half.
Yep.
And then we're going to pull away by probably 3 scores, I think, because this is the game where it's focus back in, lock it back down, and get ready for Ohio State next week.
Yep. I think you have six quarters where you struggle, and that's the Penn State game and the first half of that Maryland game, and then you come out and it's going to be adjustments. I think Harbaugh is going to make adjustments, and then Maryland's just not going to come out the locker room. It's going to look like they didn't because you're just going to blow through them. And then in the last game, the game that everybody in Ann Arbor and what's that? Not Columbus, yeah, Ann Arbor and Columbus, the one they talk about, the game that separates 2 states. Ohio State comes to the Big House. And if things work the way that we've said, at this point, Michigan will have 999 all-time victories, which leads to the question, can Michigan reach 1,000 victories all-time? This would be the game to do it in, and it's the game for all the marbles. It's the game for most likely the Big Ten. What do you think?
I would love nothing more than for it to happen against Ohio State. Obviously, I'd like it to happen against Maryland, too, because that means we're undefeated. But to have it happen in the game, as they like to call it, because they seem to trademark the for some stupid reason.
Right.
But if it could happen against them and happen a lot like the games from the last 2 years, and I almost think it might be a better win in the last couple of years because CJ Stroud's not there.
Yep.
And I think Kyle McCord will be a very solid quarterback. He's just not CJ Stroud. Just like CJ Stroud wasn't Justin Fields.
Right.
I expect us to beat Ohio State, which is so nice to say for the 3rd year in a row.
Yeah.
To kind of take over this. And if Ohio State loses this game, what does that do for Ryan Day, I wonder? 3 straight losses probably knocks you out of the playoff. Because I'm assuming that it's either going to be, I don't know if Penn State hosts Ohio State this year or not, but one of those teams is going to have 1 conference loss and one's probably going to have 2. I'm going to take a look at that because a lot will ride on who is hosting that game for me. It's in Columbus.
It's in Columbus? Ooh.
It's earlier on. It's the same week we play MSU.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the Big Ten East plays out, especially if Penn State beats us, we beat Ohio State, and Ohio State ends up beating Penn State. Then it's just a whole can of worms they got to go through.
Yep.
and then all sorts of tiebreakers, points, and all sorts of crap. So, I hope it doesn't come to that. I'd love to just beat Penn State and Ohio State and just be like, okay, cut and dry, we're in the Big Ten championship. But it might not be that simple this year.
I want you guys to do it, and I want you to win, but I'm not going to lie. There is a part of me that really wants that chaos in the last year. I just want a whole bunch of things like who's winning, who's going where, what's happening. It's going to be crazy. But, yeah, I got you guys getting that dub. For 1,000th victory, I wonder what that celebration will be like.
Oh, man, if it happens against them?
All right.
It's going to be wild.
Wait a minute. How many windows do you guys have open? I got one.
I don't have any.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And obviously, it won't be bigger than the national championship if you win that. But to get to your 1,000th victory against your most hated rival at home and would just, if God would just kiss us with some snow, that would be beautiful. That would be beautiful, man. That might be a game.
And it would be awesome for that to be like Corum's Heisman crowning moment.
Right. It can all work in it. That'd be great, man. That'd be great. So at this point, we have it at what, 11-1 or 12-1?
11-1.
11-1. So which would put you in the Big Ten championship. Most likely, who do you think? Penn State? You have to play.
Well, no, so they're in our division. So it would be in the Big Ten West. We've got Purdue, Wisconsin, I think Nebraska, Minnesota. Let's take a look here at the full Big Ten West. Yeah, Purdue, Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Northwestern.
So I think it would be fitting if you guys played Iowa with Cade. And
I think that's a very real possibility.
Yeah, I kind of see that happening. Purdue, I think you guys can, like we said, you guys can handle them. Minnesota, I'm not really believing in. Wisconsin, I love what they've done. That's the thing. It's Wisconsin or Iowa for me because I love what Wisconsin's done. But as we've seen every year, when a new coach comes over, most times it takes them a year or two to get their feet wet, get the recruits under them. So, yeah, I'm seeing y'all in potentially Iowa. Cade playing up against his old team.
I would love that.
And matter of fact, in his last game that he played, or in the last time that he played for you guys in the Big Ten championship, didn't you guys play Iowa that year and kill them?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
2 years ago.
We beat the brakes off them. It was like 45-3, something like that.
Yeah, that stuff was done early. I remember watching that game and just seeing one of your guys take it down the sidelines for like 84 yards. I was like, oh, okay, well, this one.
That was Corum that ran it, and JJ caught up to him. That's what that one was. I remember that. So both Wisconsin and Iowa only have to play one of the three big dogs in the Big Ten out of Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State.
Yeah.
So both of them, it might come down to that matchup when they play each other. Iowa goes to Penn State, and Wisconsin hosts Ohio State. So makes it, and then Wisconsin hosts Iowa for their matchup. Okay.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, one of those two teams probably see them in the Big Ten championship. I think you guys got too much firepower right now. I mean, this obviously speculation because we don't know what they're going to be bringing to the table, what kind of season they're going to have. But I honestly, I think you guys at this point, after the loss to Penn State, are going to be tunnel vision, narrowly focused. You got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more games to the title to win it all. You know what I mean? So it's just you're going to be laser focused, locked in, man.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who's kind of all in the running for that playoff.
Yes,
because the SEC champion, they're going to be in. Let's be real. I think the Big Ten champion is a lock to get in. I think if they don't cannibalize each other, I think the Pac-12 champ can get in.
So that's what I was thinking. I was like, I can't even really just say USC and Caleb Williams because that whole Pac-12 could take any one of them could take them off the pedestal. So
if USC actually built a defense this year, I would have said they walk in.
Yeah.
But that defense is still suspect. And then it'll be interesting to see you guys, like we said earlier. Like, if you guys, FSU and Clemson don't cannibalize each other, if one of you guys can walk in with 0 losses, 1 loss somewhere in there, you guys might have a shot too.
Yep. Because I don't think we play FSU.
It would be in the conference championship game.
Right.
Yeah.
We do play Clemson, so that would be huge, and we've got to get that W. But like we said, we had the last 3 weeks, we got Duke, Clemson, and NC State, all of which we had trouble with a year ago. Yeah. So not too thrilled about that. But yeah, hey, this is what it is. Here we go. Go Gators. # Go Gators. What's up, Andrew? It's Natty this year, baby.
Can you tell me who your quarterback is this year,
Andrew? Come down to the swamp, baby. Let's go.
I would love to come down to the swamp and hand your guys an L. I would love nothing more than to do that. But Billy Napier might be leaving the swamp this year if they do that rough.
I'm telling you, this is a make or break year, and I've been somebody that's really been on Billy Napier. Really, I loved him when he came from Louisiana and the Raging Cajuns and all the things he did over there. I just think he's got he's been given a bad rap, man. And look, let's be honest. Anthony Richardson went 4th. He did something right. I know Anthony Richardson is a physical freak and everything, but Napier was coaching him up. He made him his starter this year, and hopefully Florida does something this year. I'm not going to lie. I'm hoping that they shock some people, maybe Georgia.
That'd be nice.
That would be sweet. Yeah, sorry. But I'm hoping Billy Napier does it. But I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you can't have 2 or 3 seasons like that in the SEC and expect to keep your job.
Yeah, especially when you're adding in more talent next year with Texas and Oklahoma, and it's only going to get tougher and tougher to get these wins. So it's got to turn around real quick.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Scott. Caleb Williams of the Rams. Look, you just can't have every quarterback, Scott. All right? You got Caleb. You got Stetson from last year. I mean, you got Matthew. Just stick with the guys you got, buddy. Stick with Georgia quarterbacks, as a matter of fact.
Andrew, I agree with that. He's got to hit 500 at least. And I don't know about Sadly. He's a good coach.
He is.
It's just he wasn't left much to work with.
No. And as a matter of fact, he was left with just a dumpster fire because if you remember that last year, the coach that was there before him, it was just trash. Like it was a 2 quarterback system. None of the
awful.
And it was nobody was getting a nice reps. Nobody was getting the attention they needed. It was rough. It was rough. I think this year he's finally like Sarkisian. I think this year's the year they finally kind of get their feet under them. They're planted. They're ready to go. They got their recruits. So we'll see. We will definitely, all the teams need new head coaches. Norvell and Florida State, if he does well, he might get a little extension because they're expecting him to do really well.
I wonder if he's talking about like just Florida, the school in itself.
Oh yeah,
because I was like, Norvell saved himself last year. I think Napier can be the guy. Would love to keep him for a while. Just think the Gators are more of we are the good-looking school instead of the competitive. I think I don't know. I mean, when you had such good coaches in your lineage, like a Spurrier, like an Urban Meyer, those kind of guys, and you just had talent flocking to Gainesville, it makes it tough when you've got more unknown coaches like a Napier and those kind of guys. And when you had such success, it puts these guys on such a short leash, unfortunately.
Right.
I think you give him another year or two if they're patient enough, and he'll turn it around. I just think he needs a little bit more time.
I think they should. I think they should give him those extra years because, like you said, he's not a bad. He's not a bad coach.
No, not at all.
But when you go up against the Sabans and
Kirby Smart, Brian Kelly,
right? You know what I mean? When you go up against these type of coaches who are having success, and then you look at LSU, you look at Brian Kelly going over there and turn that team around in a year. You know what I mean?
1 year, yeah.
So obviously, the process is sped up a little bit, but watch out, man. That Billy Napier, man. I really hope he comes out and shows the world like what he's got, man. He needs to. Oh my goodness. Some bad team will get Caleb Williams. Yes. The Rams will probably trade the next 20 years of first round draft picks to get him. You did trade 5 years of draft picks to get people. So, man, we'll see. Stafford will retire soon. Hey, he's got his ring, and he's probably the most famous Detroit Lions quarterback.
Oh, by a wide margin. Yeah. By a wide margin.
I'm trying to think back to like the 50s. Like who? Bobby Lane.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
it.
That's our best quarterback outside of Stafford, and now Goff in 2 years has thrown himself into the conversation already.
Yeah, right.
So if they go to the playoffs and win a playoff game this year, he's the first one since Eric Kramer in 91.
Yeah. Oh man. I had Eric Kramer's rookie card. I was a big Eric Kramer fan until I realized, that was just a one-off season. He's not that good.
Yeah.
I was like, Andrew, not a bad coach at all. Just can't have 4 stars every year and the rest 3 stars in my comparison.
Absolutely, especially in the SEC.
Yep. Yeah, and it's and that's the thing. It's the competition that you have in the face it's making you look worse than you really are. Then you recruitment year like Bama and Texas, and then maybe a little go for the Natty. Yeah, in a couple years, man. And you need stuff like what's happening this year with Georgia and Alabama. Let's be honest. Both of them have second, quarterbacks that are unproven, untested. We've seen how Alabama kind of was. We can't say that Georgia is going to all of a sudden fall off because we said that last year and they returned.
And then we look
all
stupid, yeah.
Yeah, right. So we will not come on camera and say that this year.
No. I said they're number 1 until somebody beats them. And I'm sticking to that.
Right.
I'm happy with number 2.